Welcome to the Secret History Channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Nightclub owner Jack Ruby strikes Lee Harvey Oswald with a shot on November 24, 1963 in Dallas, Texas. Oswald had been taken into custody as the main suspect in the attack on President John F. Kennedy 2 days earlier. A malnourished child in Uganda holds the hand of a missionary during a humanitarian crisis recorded in the 1980s. The country was facing armed conflicts, political instability, and food shortages. A knife thrower prepares for his act while a child stands still in front of the target board during a circus performance in the 1940s. Beside them, an assistant watches closely. An inflatable tank is shown in use in England in 1945 as part of a deception plan to confuse the Germans before the Normandy landings. Ethiopian peasants are seen saluting a poster of Benito Mussolini in 1936 during the Italian occupation of Ethiopia. At that time, Italy had invaded the country in 1935 as part of the fascist regime's expansionist plans. A mother hugs her son who had just escaped a prisoner camp in North Korea in 1953. The photo was taken shortly before the end of the Korean War, which lasted from 1950 to 1953. Soldiers from South Africa, Australia, and the United Kingdom received cooking instructions in the Egyptian desert in 1941 during World War II. The training took place at the Western Desert Cookery School, created to teach how to prepare meals in harsh conditions. A woman kisses a British soldier returning from World War II. The scene took place in the United Kingdom around 1945 when thousands of troops came home after the end of the war. Marlene Dietrich kisses a soldier returning from World War II in 1945. The German-born American actress and singer was an active figure during the conflict, touring to entertain Allied troops. Children jump rope with the help of a United States soldier in England in 1944. The scene took place during World War II when thousands of American troops were stationed in the United Kingdom preparing for operations in Europe. Even window cleaners wore suits 100 years ago. This image, likely from the early 20th century, shows workers at heights dressed formally while performing their tasks. An old Halloween costume stands out for its eerie look in this photo taken in the early 20th century. Made from simple fabrics with a handmade mask featuring exaggerated expressions, the costume reflects the rural traditions of the time. Mr. Larkin is seen hanging by a rope while cleaning the face of the famous clock tower known as Big Ben in London. The photo was taken around the 1940s. A Mongolian shaman is shown in 1909 wearing traditional ceremonial attire used in spiritual rituals. Shamans played a central role in Mongolian communities, acting as healers, spiritual guides, and intermediaries between the physical and spiritual worlds. Two Maikos talking on a street in Kyoto, Japan in the year 1946. Maiko is the name given to geisha apprentices, known for their colorful kimonos, elaborate hairstyles, and traditional makeup. Mary Ann Bevan, 1874 to 1933, was an Englishwoman known for participating in public shows under the title The Ugliest Woman in the World. After developing acromegaly, a condition that causes abnormal bone growth, her facial features changed significantly. Women of the Padang ethnic group, also known as the Giraffe women of Burma, now Myanmar, are known for wearing brass rings around their necks from a young age. William Steig, creator of the character Shrek, is seen next to wrestler Maurice Tillet in the 1940s. Tillet, known as the French Angel, had acromegaly, a condition that causes abnormal bone growth. A fisherman poses next to the largest striped bass ever caught, in a historical image with no exact date. The fish, hanging from a hook, is impressive in size compared to the man beside it. This is the original draft of the novel The Brothers Karamazov, written by Fyodor Dostoevsky in 1880. The book was completed that same year and became one of the most important works in Russian literature. Max Schreck relaxes backstage during the filming of Nosferatu in 1922. The German actor played Count Orlok, the main character in the silent film classic and one of the earliest unofficial adaptations of the Dracula story. Scientist Bernhard Vonnegut holds a block of plastic with a visible electric discharge during lightning research in 1962. The illustration, Lion and His Keeper, was created by Norman Rockwell in 1976 for the cover of the Saturday Evening Post, published on January 9th of that year. During a circus visit to a children's hospital around 1930, clown Charlie Smith took part in the event to cheer up the hospitalized children. This game board belonged to Pharaoh Tutankhamun and is over 3,000 years old. It was found in his tomb in the Valley of the Kings in Egypt during the famous 1922 excavation led by Howard Carter. Before fame, Beyoncé is seen performing as Tina Turner in a school show in 1971. People gather at the shores of Loch Ness in Scotland, waiting for a possible sighting of the legendary monster in 1968. Interest in the so-called Loch Ness Monster grew after several alleged sightings reported since the 1930s. The Seiko TV watch was released in Japan in 1982 as one of the first wearable devices with a video screen. Made by Seiko, the device combined the functions of a digital watch with a small monitor that allowed users to watch television. A group of people enjoys an early form of land windsurfing. It features a wheeled vehicle powered by wind through a large sail mounted on the frame. They really built things to last back then. This image shows a 1915 GMC truck loaded with logs. A man balances on a wooden plank at the edge of a skyscraper in the United States in 1939. A boat on the Rhine River transports whiskey barrels in Düsseldorf, Germany, around the 1930s. The Rhine was one of Europe's main trade routes, linking industrial centers and helping transport goods between countries. The Santa Fe Station in San Diego, California, is shown in the year it opened, 1915. Built to welcome visitors to the Panama, California Exposition, the station became an architectural landmark of the city. A rare photo of Marilyn Monroe with almost no makeup was taken in 1955. Known for her glamorous image, Marilyn appears here in a more natural way, showing a more intimate and lesser-known side of her life. The dressing room at the Moulin Rouge in 1924 shows dancers getting ready for their performance at one of Paris's most famous cabarets. A poker face mask was designed to hide facial expressions during card games, allowing the player to conceal any emotion. This type of accessory appeared as a novelty in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. A geisha poses wearing a Western-style swimsuit in Japan around 1900. The image captures a rare moment where traditional Japanese culture blends with foreign influences. A woman gracefully leaps over a puddle on a rainy street in London, holding an umbrella and a briefcase in 1933. A mountain boy carries water in a bucket in a county in the state of Tennessee around 1950. In these rural areas, it was common for families to live without direct access to running water, relying on natural springs or wells. A family poses with their child on a bicycle around the 1910s. The vehicle, possibly custom-made, shows how the bicycle was an important form of transportation and recreation at the time. A young female worker in a cotton mill is shown in 1908 in the United States. During this time, child labor was common in textile factories, especially in the southern part of the country. Mail delivery in rural areas in 1914 was done using horses or wagons, as shown in this image. Rural postal service in the United States had been expanded in the late 19th century. 14 lumberjacks posed together 124 years ago, around 1900, in a forested area of the United States or Canada. They wear rugged clothing and hold tools like axes and hand saws. F.E. Yates poses on his custom motorcycle around the 1900s. At that time, motorcycle use was on the rise, with enthusiasts attaching engines to bicycles to create the first motorized models. Two children sit on the porch of a house in the state of Arkansas, likely during the 1930s or 1940s. A family poses in front of their cabin in the mountains of West Virginia, around 1900. Simple structures like this were common in rural areas of the region, built with local wood and raised by the family's own efforts. A young cyclist from Estonia poses with his handmade bicycle in 1912. Built with wood and basic parts, the bike reflects creativity and resourcefulness in times and places with limited resources. Federico Caprilli demonstrates his horse's skills in 1906 as part of the renowned Italian cavalry school. Caprilli was a revolutionary officer and instructor known for developing the natural riding system. A samurai from the Satsuma domain is shown holding a traditional Japanese longbow around 1860. Located in the south of the country, the Satsuma domain was one of the most powerful during the Edo period. A mother poses with her daughter in 1880, dressed in formal clothing typical of the Victorian era. Photo sessions were important and carefully planned events, often held in studios with painted backdrops and stiff poses. The ruins known as White House, located in Canyon de Chelly, Arizona, in the year 1873. The structures were built by the ancestral Pueblo people. A camera equipped with flash attachments is shown in 1931 during a time of advancements in photography. These devices allowed images to be captured in low-light settings and were used by photojournalists and professional studios. The most iconic photo in North Dakota's history shows the effects of the Great Blizzard of 1966, when snowdrifts reached up to 40 feet high. Unemployed workers gather around a shack with a small Christmas tree on East 12th Street in New York City in 1938. A coal miner is photographed after his shift in 1958, with his face covered in soot and an exhausted expression. David Bowie is seen at age 14 in 1961, still using his birth name, David Robert Jones. At the time, he was already showing interest in music and visual arts, taking part in school activities and playing instruments. A German military device displays a message aimed at Winston Churchill in 1940. During World War II, it was common for equipment used on the front lines to carry provocative messages. Workers open a glowing crucible at the steel plants in the Meuse Valley, Belgium, in the mid-20th century. The region was a major steel production hub in Europe, known for its heavy industry and metalworking. Promotional photo of the television series The Munsters, produced in the United States during the 1960s. A women's bowling team poses in front of a Chevrolet at a dealership in San Francisco, California, in a mid-1940s photo. 3 students walked through the city of Chicago in the 1950s. Wearing formal clothes and carrying books, they represent a generation of young women pursuing higher education during a time of social change. A couple holds a massive blue catfish caught in 1959, recorded in the archives of the Tishomingo National Fish Hatchery in Oklahoma. According to my grandparents, this is how they went to school every day. New York City, 1947. The image shows children walking through the city streets, carrying books and wearing typical post-war clothing. The opening of the Southwest Expressway took place in 1964, connecting urban and suburban areas around Boston, Massachusetts. It was designed to ease traffic and improve access to the city. The vehicle known as the Antarctica Snow Cruiser appears in this 1940 image. Designed by the United States for the Antarctic expedition led by Richard Byrd, the vehicle was over 55 feet long and built to cross the harsh conditions of the frozen continent. The City Hall Post Office building was located in New York City. It was completed in 1880 and served as the headquarters for the post office and federal offices for several decades. A busy street in the city of Vicksburg, Mississippi, during the year 1936. In the background, cars from the 1930s are parked and people are walking along the sidewalks. The Titanic ship leaving the port of Southampton, England, on April 10, 1912. It was considered the largest and most advanced ship in the world at the time. Walt Disney appears in this colorized photo showing the map of his first theme park, Disneyland. The image was taken in the 1950s during preparations for the official opening. A group of people tries Coca-Cola for the first time in France, shortly after World War II. The drink was introduced more widely in the country in 1944 with the arrival of American troops. The Sandbar Saloon stood on the banks of the Canadian River in Oklahoma around the 1890s. Buildings like this were common in the new communities that emerged after the land was opened for settlement. King's Cross in London looks busy in this scene, captured on July 20th, 1899. The station, opened in 1852, was already a major railway hub in the British capital. Workers install support cables during the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco in 1935. The bridge began construction in 1933 and was completed in 1937. The RCA building, now known as 30 Rockefeller Plaza, is seen in December 1933 during its construction in New York City. Part of the Rockefeller Center complex, the building was one of the largest architectural projects of the Great Depression. A Mayan zoomorphic sculpture appears in this photograph, taken in the late 1800s. The carved stone represents a symbolic animal figure, common in the ritual art of the ancient Maya. The inside of Wanamaker's department store in New York City is decorated for Christmas in the year 1920. With its grand chandeliers, impressive staircases, and hanging wreaths, the space shows the luxury and elegance of the big stores of that era. Two United States presidents are seen smiling and waving as they share the back seat of a convertible car. The image was taken in Washington, D.C., likely in the late 1950s. American football players face off on the field in 1920, the year the league that would later become the National Football League, NFL, was founded. The uniforms at the time were simple, with little protection, and the helmets were made of leather. A couple poses sitting on their 1947 Chevrolet during an outdoor meal. The image captures a peaceful post-war moment in the United States, when cars like this symbolized freedom and prosperity. Algerian women are shown in 1960 during the Algerian War of Independence, a conflict that lasted from 1954 to 1962. At that time, many women were actively involved in the fight against French colonial rule. During the Victorian era, photographic portraits became a dominant practice, especially among the middle and upper classes. Starting in the 1850s, with the advancement of photography, it was common for families to pose in studios to capture important moments. Expedition cook Thomas Clissold is seen leading an emperor penguin on a rope in 1911 during the Terra Nova expedition in Antarctica. Serbian and British soldiers are seen during the conflict in Kosovo, then part of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, in 1999. That was the year the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, intervened militarily in the region. The last queen consort of Mongolia, Dondogdulam, appears in this 1923 image. She was the wife of Bogd Khan, the last spiritual and political ruler of the country during the era of the Bogd Khanate of Mongolia. Two women wash a car at a roadside stop in the United States in 1957. The vehicle is equipped with a bug screen attached to the front grille. A young woman checks the card catalog in a library around the 1970s. Before the digital age, this system was the main way to find books and information in libraries around the world. The shipping department at Macy's in New York City is shown in full operation during the 1940s. Workers organize packages and products ready to ship, reflecting the efficiency needed in one of the largest department stores in the United States. The first airmail flight in the western United States took place in the early 20th century, marking a significant advancement in communication and postal transport. The first aerial tram crossing over the Niagara River took place in 1916 with the Whirlpool Aero car. A forest of oil derricks rises in the Signal Hill oil field in Long Beach, California in 1937. Discovered in 1921, this field quickly became one of the most productive in the state. A Gulf gas station in Miami Beach, Florida, photographed in 1939. The image was captured by photographer Marion Post Wolcott and shows the modern architectural style of the time, with curved lines and a distinctive canopy. The playground at Hiawatha Playfield in Seattle is shown in 1912, with simple and rather risky structures by today's standards. Made of metal, wood, and rope, the equipment required balance and bravery from the children. Around 3,000 workers posed together in front of the Marine Midland Bank in 1964. The photo marks the completion of a major phase of the building's construction in New York City. The Guinness Brewery in Dublin is shown in full operation in the year 1910. Founded in 1759 by Arthur Guinness, the facility at St. James's Gate became one of the world's largest and most famous beer producers. Market Street in San Francisco is seen covered in debris after the 1906 earthquake, in a photograph taken by H.C. White Company. Two women used portable changing booths at the beach in the 1930s. These lightweight, wearable structures provided privacy in public spaces during a time when social norms demanded discretion while putting on swimsuits.